Get this hammer ready.
I really put that thing and break it.
Eesh, Steve. Didn't even offer what the. Usually you always offer. That's okay,
Pass it around.
right?
That'd be great on video, by the way.
Oh, here. Just a backs. Right. Now that's gonna be stuck in my head this whole meeting.
You're welcome.
Thanks a lot.
Hey, are we getting a new desk? Oh, this is over. Nice to see it. I haven't seen it.
I haven't either.
I haven't either.
What's wrong with this one?
Actually,
I haven't seen it either, but it's
It
all
had
right.
the
It's,
top part, the top section here.
Mm-hmm.
We glued it down several times, but
Ah.
it keeps popping up.
it's supposed to be real nice, I guess.
that's from dancing on it too much.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, it's Mylan's Corner, you know.
Yeah, I know.
He gets pretty crazy with his stand-up comedy routine.
Yeah,
We're afraid when
right.
we move it, it'll fall apart, but actually the crew made the desk,
Oh,
so it wasn't, we didn't.
oh, I wasn't saying it because
Yeah.
I'm on the budget, but,
No, we actually, Ben actually made it.
oh, that's
A
awesome.
couple years ago.
Really?
So, yeah, because we had to let the tree cure and
Good time.
whatever.
That's right.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thanks, everyone. Welcome to a regular session of the Goldendale City Council for January 6th. Shelley, would you please take roll call?
Steve Johnson,
Here.
Theo Wheeler,
Here.
Lauren Meager,
Absent?
Ellie Casey,
Here.
Andy Holm,
Here.
Daniel Covenant,
Here.
Mylan Walling.
Here. Great, thank you. Is there a motion to excuse Lauren Megan?
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second to excuse Lauren Megan. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hi.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, not opposed, thank you. We'll move on to the next item on the agenda, and that's closed public comment. Is there anyone here or on the Zoom that would like to make a public comment on a topic related to the agenda today?
Yes.
Yes, Scott, please step up to the podium and state your name and general area of residence, please.
Yeah, Scott Robinson, Goldendale, Washington, actually presently the coordinator for Abeta, Washington, and speaking on behalf of the demolition derby. I just want to kind of give you guys some information. I know we applied for some funding, and I wanted you folks to have an idea where the money goes. And one of the first things we do, we put out $10,000 in prize money to the drivers, and most of them, 90% of them are local people here, and that money goes right back out in the community. The other things that we do, every year, we donate $2,000 to the New Hope Farm organization. That money continues to be donated every year. That's been an ongoing process. We go down to Holcomb's Murray or Century grocery store. We give away $1,000 and gift certificates for turkey dinners and stuff like that. So the money that we are generating is being pushed back into the city of Goldendale. And I just, we're applying for funding, and I want you guys to know what's happening with the funding there. And primarily, that's about all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
Oh, one more thing
Yes.
real quick. Yeah, I forgot. So this year, we took on the Seattle Cossacks for Community Days. I don't know if you guys know who that is. It's a Seattle motorcycle drill team. You guys could look at this. It kind of pass that on. You'll have a look at it. It's gonna cost us $4,500 to put those guys together. They'll be performing on Saturday, twice. They'll do it once right after the parade, and then following right at the end of the car show, we'll have another show with those guys. And around $2,500. We're putting that money towards community days for the city. And that's enough.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, really looking forward to that. That's gonna be a great show.
You bet.
Anybody else? Yes, please, step up and state your name and area of residence, please.
Good evening, my name is Dara Eastham and I live on East Main Street. And thank you for giving me this chance.
Thank you.
I'm here to just be supportive as a community member of any and all of the things that are on the agenda tonight regarding the funding for local activities. I have family that comes to town regularly for almost all of them every year. I would like to see their tax dollars used wisely in the area too, and I don't think any one particular group should be designated not worthy. I think they're all worthy, and I hope that all of you do too. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else for a public comment? Yes, Alberto. Please come up and state your name and general area of residence, please. We all know you.
Filiberto Ontiveros, South Goldendale. So I wrote up my statement because I like to speak. So we'll start now. I know this is big decisions. The events committee has always been making big decisions and a lot of people apply for it. Sometimes things get considered outside of what should be considered. So I wrote this statement here. I'm writing and I'm present at this meeting to express my strong support for the Goldendale Pride event and to request that the city allocate the funds to support its success. This event brings together members of our community, creates opportunity for cultural change and exchange, and provides a platform for inclusivity and diversity. It serves as an important opportunity for all individuals, regardless of their background, sexual orientation, gender identity, or characteristics, to come together and celebrate our shared values. The Goldendale Pride event has been a positive force in our community. I've attended several of them, very well organized. It's offering enriched experiences for all attendees. It fosters an environment where everyone is welcome and supported. It provides space for people of various backgrounds to engage with one another in a respectful and inclusive manner. It is exactly these kinds of events that help foster a sense of unity in our town, especially in times where values of inclusion, diversity, and respect for all individuals are needed more than ever. As a member of the Goldendale City Council, you have sworn an oath to uphold the Constitution of the United States, which guarantees equal protection under the law for all citizens. The Constitution does not support discrimination of any kind, and it ensures that individuals are entitled to live free from discrimination based on their sexual orientation, gender, identity, race, religion, and other protected characteristics. Voting against funding for the Goldendale Pride has been something that always every year becomes an issue. So I remind you, voting against the Goldendale Pride event on the grounds of personal belief or ideologies that exclude or discriminate against individuals based on these traits would be a violation of the very principle you swore to protect. Discrimination, whether based on sexual orientation, gender identity, race, or other protected class, has no place in our society. As a community, we should celebrate the diversity that makes our city a great place to live, where we respect, value, and include each other. On the other hand, voting against that would perpetuate harm and division, sending a message of discrimination. I hope that you will make an informed decision free of prejudice and based on the facts for each one of these applications you receive. Thank you.
Thank you, Filiberto. Anybody else like to make a public comment? Anybody on the line have their hand up for a public comment? Okay, hearing no more, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. And it's the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda and the consent agenda?
I move to approve the consent agenda and the agenda.
A second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the agenda and the consent agenda. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda under presentations. And this is a presentation on the Welcome to Goldendale Main Street sign. And I'd like to invite Mr. Brian Paul up to the podium. Brian Paul would like to donate the cost to refurbish the Welcome to Goldendale Sportsman's Paradise sign at the intersection of Main and Columbus. And he's here to, excuse me, talk about that. Also on the Zoom, we have Jason Jones from the Cascade Sign Company that has offered this proposal. The company that would be doing the work. He's on there to answer any questions as well. Thank you for joining us, Jason Jones, and thanks, Brian, and I'll hand it off to you from here. And thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, ladies and gentlemen of the city council and those present. My name is Brian Paul. I've lived here in Goldendale now for about coming up on 3 years. I'm a surgical technologist and medical assistant at Clickatack Valley Health. I am very interested in supporting the funds, donating the funds to have our archway in downtown Goldendale refurbished. Let's give you some background on how and why I came up with this decision. So I lived in Yakima for a number of years. I moved there in August of 1993. I continued my career in EMS up until December 2019 when I retired after 31 years in EMS. Went back to college, got my second degree, graduated at the top of my class in surgical technology at YVC, and began looking for a job in surgical technology. And I found myself down here. Now, how was it that I chose Goldendale? Well, over the years, like many people, I drove down Highway 97 going to Portland, going south to California, and always seemed to bypass Goldendale. I'd stop by McDonald's, I'd stop by get my gas, and I'd move on. And one day I had enough time and I said, I want to see this town because I've always been intrigued and I've always loved small town USA. Drove through the town and fell in love with it immediately. And this has been 15, 20 years ago. And I noticed that the downtown sign, welcome to Goldendale. Okay, cute, could use some repair, but I moved on. And then over the years, we did transports out of your hospital, going to Portland, going to Spokane, back up into Yakima. And there were several times where we were delayed. And I brought my work partner at the time, my paramedic, and we decided to have lunch and walk around downtown because we had an hour to 2 hours before our patient was going to be ready. And again, I saw that same sign, still looking the same way it did years earlier and years earlier. Fast forward to present day. I live here, I work here. I run under that sign, I ride my bike under that sign, I do business, interfacing and coming in contact with that sign, and I've noticed that it still looks the same. And since I've been here, I've made investments in the community. I love Goldendale, I support Goldendale, I love small town USA. I cannot think of a better endeavor to sponsor and support than the refurbishment of that sign. And so over the last several months, as I looked at that sign, I would park or I would stop and look and think of what would I do? How would I redesign that sign so that it would not only pop, but give some character and charm to our small town and the people like myself who have come to visit, who have come to walk downtown. Wow. They really appreciate their small town. And I think of other communities. I think of Reno, the largest small town in America, or something similar, where they have that archway that really welcomes you into Reno. And you have similar signs down in Las Vegas, although it's much smaller and it's in the middle of an island. But there's no reason our sign can't look much like that. So as I was stating, I was looking at this sign and I thought, what a great way to showcase our community and our downtown by refurbishing it and giving it a presentation whereby it not only has a patriotism, but it also keeps the small town charm and it keeps the sportsman's paradise and the sportsman that we're known for. So you may or may not have copies of the, very good.
Yes.
So the goal is to superimpose the welcome to, instead of the little placard that's off on the left, we want to boldly present the word welcome to in red. Goldendale will be in a royal blue, much like the blue of our flag. We'll have the white background, and of course, we'll have the aquamarine sportsman's paradise to be synonymous or to be symbolic of the water and the aquatic activities that go around the area. And of course, we're gonna keep I believe it's a salmon that's up there and the deer on the other side. Of course, the salmon will have its usual colors, and the deer will have the brown, the tan, and the black spots on it to give it the character, and will again make that sign pop. When I'm downtown, I go downtown a lot on the weekends. I play pool, I'll have a Pepsi, I'll have lunch. And I like to listen to the comments of the people that are visiting. And periodically they'll come into one of the bars or one of the restaurants. What a cute town, you know, we should really go back into that antique shop. I really like what they had. I'd really like to purchase. I hear all these different commentaries. And I thought, what are they saying? If they're saying that about our community, what are they saying about the sign? What a great way to welcome those people, and not only our community members, into our downtown with a nice fresh sign. So for that reason, and with my explanation, that is why I want to donate the $22,000+ to have that sign completely refurbished. And I did some research, and having been in Yakima and being familiar with two companies, Cascade Sign and Fabrication and Tag Art Group, I chose, and I'd like to work with Jason Jones at Cascade Sign and Fabrication. If you've been around Yakima, if you've done any business up there, almost all of their marquees, almost all of their signs, like the Majestic Theater and some of the other signs that have been done by this entity. And I think they would do beautiful work. And after consulting with and speaking with Jason Jones and a couple of members here at the council, I think they would do the best work, and the price is reasonable for my budget.
Thank you, Brian. Any council members have any comments or questions? Yes, Danielle.
First, thank you so much. It's so great when community members step forward and see an issue, and instead of complaining about it, actually do something about it. I know not everyone can do that, and it's much appreciated. Having said that, so there are some different groups in the city that have looked at revamping that sign as well. From that group, I don't think, and I might be mistaken, there might have been one or two, but I don't recall any wanting to keep the Sportsman Paradise up there. And the reason, I mean, it's beautiful and historic, and those are, I think, would be the two reasons to keep it. But the way that the four corners are, and the observatory, the nod to the observatory, the colored benches now, all of those things, I just am, my only worry is that gonna look like it's just piecemealed into a town that is now looking different than what that initially looked like? Am I saying that correctly? Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. When I first looked at this endeavor, I wanted to ideally keep it exactly as it looked. I ideally wanted to paint the welcome, to have it painted literally, welcome to Goldendale repainted, Sportsman's Paradise, replace the letters and touch up the fish and touch up the deer. Because I wanted to keep that authentic, rustic, old town look, to keep the charm downtown. When we did the research and I had Jason come down with his team and evaluate that sign, first of all, those materials are no longer made and available. Number two, it is so brittle that the slightest mistake or the slightest handling of some of those letters, or even just the plastic corrugated backing, would crack and probably dissolve to powder, and then we'd be in big trouble. So this, I'll let Jason go into all the details, but essentially this is going to be one molded, superimposed lettering sign. So we're not gonna have any attachments on it. It will be one sheet of, I'm a medical professional, not an engineer. Dye-bond, it's called dye-bond. And it'll be surface printed. There will be a certain amount of, molding, superimposing of the letters, so we'll have that pop. And, let me add, within that archway, there was a series of, electrical structures designed for backlighting. And ideally, I wanted to have that backlight. But when we got through with the, assessment, we're looking at, was it $88,000 or so, what we were looking at just for the total electrical overhaul, engineering and restructuring, sir?
Basically, that's pretty close to what they were saying. It'd be at least 3 to 4 times as much to have that lit as to do what we've presented.
So while that was important, what was more important was having the sign redone so that it has that, it maintains the rustic charm and the authenticity from which it was constructed. But at the same time, it's new, it's fresh, and it will last probably for another 60 or hopefully 70 years. I did some research on when that went up. It was August 15th of 1965 was when that first archway went up. So it is almost as old as me. Old, I'm sorry to say. But nonetheless, the reason I want to keep that Sportsman's Paradise, we are known for our sports down here. Several of my medical professional friends, they come down here and hunt on a regular basis. A lot of my former colleagues and current colleagues, they still come down here to fish and camp, and they love this area. And we are still known as the Sportsman's Paradise. Heck, I have deer in my yard every single morning. It's wonderful. I go out running in the morning. They look at me like I'm an idiot. So, and nonetheless, I want to keep as much of that charm as possible, as much of that original authenticity in that sign as possible.
Then just to, if that's what it will stay like, then I would just suggest with the royal blue, have that instead match the blues that we already have out there so it doesn't clash. So the royal blue that you said you wanted Goldendale to be, I would just suggest that it stays the same color as the benches, what the trash cans are just about to be, because they're about to redo those. It's a different color than royal blue.
Yeah,
It's a little darker.
That's reasonable. The main thing is I wanted red, white and blue, the white backing, red welcome to Goldendale and blue for that patriotism that we're known for in our conservatism here in Goldendale. And again, that aquamarine for the Sportsman's Paradise. I didn't want too many colors because I don't want, this big artsy play, but I want something that displays patriotism and retains the charm and retains that Sportsman's Paradise that we're known for.
Yeah, that's a question.
Dion, did you have something?
Yes, hi. I do. I was just curious about well, I agree with Danielle. First of all, I think it would be really important to get more, I don't know how far you've gone with getting your community consensus, or if you've put anything out to the community to see what they think of these ideas, or is this your very first time presenting it? Because we could help get the word out through the chamber and all, and get more feedback on that, because I know with the Art at the Heart being here, and I think we've got a lot of artsy things going on for the next several of years, through grants and stuff, and I think it would be nice to suit well with all those things that are going on, and the way that the town is upgrading. And then my other question was about the vinyl. So I understand, I've worked with 550 Oracal vinyl that is good for marine and car auto. What type of vinyl are you talking about? Because I know that only lasts about 5 to 7 years, maybe, before it has to be replaced.
Jason Jones, he's the expert in this area. It's pretty resilient material from what we understand, Jason.
It is, yeah. I mean, the laminated vinyl graphics, they do have a shelf life, but generally, I mean, you should see that stuff last. 5 or 7 years does happen, but it's not common. It's much more common for that stuff to last. I mean, it would not be crazy for it to last, at least, 10 or 15 or 20, I mean, but it, I mean, there are environmental concerns. You never know what you're ever going to get longevity wise, but that is, the way my guys were looking at it when they were building it, was to try to make sure that we went for longevity. So, I mean, our vinyl, we use a couple different types, but this is, looks like hard edged 3M vinyl, that's laminated, and it should provide a pretty good amount of longevity.
Okay, so it's not like a 550 Oracal. It's very different than that.
It's different. Yeah, I mean, it's sign grade exterior stuff. It's what we use on all the stuff when we're going to put it out in the sun and let it sit and be the face of somebody's business or city.
Okay. So
Yeah.
I mean, you would say about 20 years that we would have to probably look into maybe.
I'm saying, I mean, you never know what you're going to get, but there's a distinct possibility that it could last that long. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Thank you.
Yeah, Mayor Hyde.
Yeah, it's well.
Yeah, well, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, first of all, I want to thank you, Brian, for making a contribution to improve the downtown Goldendale area. But I'm really kind of concerned, the reader board sign does belong to the chamber. But then, however, we've always had a reader board sign there. And I wish somehow this could be designed a little different. Repainted, of course, where it looked better, but we still make room in there for a little bigger reader board sign that is still there. I think not everybody looks at the reader board sign, but a lot of people do. And I know the Chambers was eventually going to put the old reader board sign that's there now, put it out there in front of their office, which is good. But I think a lot of people are downtown, and I really feel that, and maybe that's just my opinion, that we should try to keep the reader board sign up there. And that's my opinion. So, but again, I really appreciate Brian for making that suggestion.
Thank you, sir.
I think Mike had his hand up.
Yeah, Mike.
Just on the dimension with the reader board at that location, it's actually kind of double-edged sword, just because with traffic there, everybody starts looking up. With the increase of traffic, there's a higher probability of people not seeing the car stop in front of them when they're reading that. I do like the reader board, but I think there is better locations that we could have for reader board in a proper, for traffic safety anyways.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Andy.
That's all I have.
So two things I do like the reader board up there, but I agree with Mike, but also structure issues with that. It can't hold much more. It may, I mean, technically, I don't think it should be holding that sign up there, according to engineers and stuff.
Yeah.
So that is a concern about that. Also, I'd like to thank you for, bringing this idea up and for paying for something like this. That's incredible. That's awesome. I feel that it should be the colors in this picture is that with the aqua color and then the black Goldendale myself. I'm all for patriotism, but also at the same time for originality. I feel for originality look, we should go with the colors that are already on there, but that's my opinion.
Thank you, Andy. Anybody else have any discussion or comments?
I have a question.
Okay.
Was this design put before a committee? Or was this something he brought to you guys?
We've been talking about it the last several months between a couple council members and myself and Mr. Paul about different options there. Yeah.
And I don't mind admitting, I brought it to them, because like I said, I've been seeing that sign for probably close to 25, 30 years. Sure. And I want to see it freshened up. I really want to see that. I do have another rendering, which I believe the council has, that does show that black Goldendale. So I'm certainly not opposed to that. Like I said, that's the reason for this presentation.
Yeah.
Discuss and to critique. And before we fully embark on this potentially in spring.
Absolutely. Anybody else have any Yes, Taya.
I'm the Chamber of Commerce, I'm with the Chamber. We've talked about this, Dave has brought it to me, I've seen the renderings, we're open to the discussion and the possibility of it. But it's gonna go before our board on Thursday, so just so you know, because I know it's difficult with multiple different entities owning something, a piece of it, you know, so.
Would you like me to be at that board?
I would love if you could be at that board meeting, I'll get you the information after.
I
That'd be
appreciate
great.
that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Miss
Yeah, thank you.
Taya.
Yes.
Great, thank you, Taya. Will anybody else have any, yes, Steve?
I appreciate everybody's input and I'm not surprised. I was one of the council members and working with Ryan on this. And myself personally, I think it's a real clean approach. The whole thing has been planned out professionally. It's an upgrade that is over past due. There's nobody that could deny that. And we have somebody here that's willing to fund it. No money out of our pockets. I just don't see how we could pass it up. And to get stuck in the mud with a bunch of tread, I say it's trivial. In fact, the only question I really had was the color. I kind of like color in the picture there as opposed to the red, you know. If they were all the same color, it would be an improvement. I mean, that's the bottom line here. Brian's put a lot of time into this. And now it's ready to open up his pocketbook. And for us to sit around and squabble about some of the
I don't think it's squabbling. I think that it's bringing things up so that once it gets put there, we all don't go, wow, that is not the right colors and it clashes with everything else in the town. So I don't think it's squabbling personally.
Well, I don't choose my words really well sometimes. I stand corrected. Anyway, no, I think we feel gratitude.
Oh,
Right?
absolutely.
Oh, of course.
Yes,
Yep.
hands down.
And taking the challenge and putting in front of us here.
And besides, you know, some issues about the colors, I guess is what we're kind of looking for, being as how that sign is city property. And we thought the next logical step would be to present it to the city council and ask for a consensus from the council to move forward. You know, we could have more discussions. I think Brian's open to it, and as far as what color scheme would work best as far as the black or the navy blue or what have you. But a consensus from the council to move forward with the project.
Yep.
If the council sees fit, and maybe we can have some further discussion on the color. But other than that, I mean, I think this is a great opportunity. I know that there's been talks in the community for at least the past 10 years or more about getting that sign put back into good shape. You know, we've consulted with a local engineer here, Dustin Conroy, about the possibilities. We were warned strongly not to add any weight to it. So that really went into what we came up with here, along with the sign company, to not add any weight to it, because that would require a whole structural engineering that would be above and beyond what our capabilities are really here with the budget. But anyway, I wanted to make sure the council got informed. You know, we could have some more discussion about the color scheme, but as far as moving forward, getting a consensus from the council is kind of what we're looking for here. And, you know,
Yeah, Mayor, I'll have to say, I would like to see more meetings, right, as of right now, I'm not favoring it.
okay,
Would like to ask one more question.
sure.
I have no objections to the Goldendale portion being black. Would the black conflict with any of the downtown colors if we went the red, white, the black?
The redwood.
The redwood, okay.
Well, I don't know, you'd have to look, I don't know, I'm merely telling you, because I was part of a group that looked at doing stuff to it and different colors that we had kind of looked at and said, whatever, and I'm not an artist myself, the people I was working with are. And like I said, the things that we found out when, in the last year and a half that we've been asking about this is the two things that people didn't want was Sportsman's Paradise and for it to clash with the rest of what we've been doing to make downtown better. Again, though, I understand the historic, and I'm not saying that this is fully my view, because either way, as long as it doesn't clash, you know, if you have a really weird blue compared to the other blue, it's gonna look funny, and we don't want it, we want people to come. So, anyway, and I'm sure that wouldn't make people not come, but it's certainly, you know, and I love that you're doing this. I thank you. Again, we're not disputing any of that, I don't think. But if I didn't bring it up, then I'd hear about it too.
Sure.
Okay, I'd like to say something real quick as well.
Okay.
I want to thank you. This is amazing. And I agree, you know, as far as the consensus goes, that if you want to move forward, that maybe you have a couple conversations with the Chamber, Art at the Heart, and some other folks maybe before you execute entirely. And otherwise, I'm down for consensus.
Great.
There's people out there that have questions.
Okay,
Also.
we'll go ahead and, do you have a question or a comment?
I just had a comment. As you know, I'm one of the local artists who helped paint the murals. And I've also been here for a while. And when I saw that rendering, it was like, it just so nostalgic for me.
Mhm.
And I was so excited to see it. So thank you so much for what you're doing for our community. To me, this is just incredible. You know, we've got some signs out by the roads that we need to do, but you know, this is so beautiful. And so I just want to, as an artist, be able to say, thank you so much. It means so much to me.
Yeah.
And the colors are awesome. You know, they're
Great, thank you. Roberto.
Thank you, Mayor. I know it's not public comment for this item. I just want to say thank you. And I would just ask that any other group that is planning or thinking about working with this gentleman, if you have $22,000 laying around to do it yourself, by all means, bring the argument in. Otherwise, let's have everybody collaborate. They say the vinyl lasts maybe a good 10 years. I mean, that's, you know, it's right there in the weather. And at that time and now, we should probably start planning for a new version of the sign in 10 years, because that's really how long it's going to take the city government or any other nonprofit to come up with that money to replace it. The gentleman's offering that. You guys can fight over the colors. I'm sure he's open to that, but really to renovate and bring that to life. He's been looking at it at over 35 years. So has everybody else. And I think nobody's done anything other than the screen. So.
Thanks, Roberto. Well, I guess we'll just, you know, take a vote of a consensus to move forward with the project. I'll start over here and just say yes or no to consensus.
Well, I definitely, we need to move on. I guess right now, I guess I'm sort of not agreeing with everything, so, but we need to move on.
Okay.
And again, it's really nice that Brian is really offering to help us downtown Goldendale.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I definitely move forward.
Andy? Yes. Ellie?
Yes.
Steve?
Yes.
And Fionn?
Yes.
Okay, great. Well, we have consensus from council to move forward. You know, like the council suggested, we can talk about the colors a little bit more, get some more input from the group you're meeting with later, but besides that, I mean, what a great project, what a great gift to the community. And, you know, really appreciate it, Brian, and we'll move forward with this project and we'll be in touch soon.
Very good. I appreciate the
Thank you.
Jason, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate the chance to be here.
Great. Thank you so much.
Mayor, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you, Brian.
Yes, Steve.
Just like to add one last thing. this additional collaboration and discussion. I don't think it's a good idea, but I'd like to put a timeline on it. By the end of the month, let's say, so that we can have all of our ducks in a row. So that when the weather finally gets here, we can move forward on it. We can collaborate until the cows come home on these projects. And I'd like to put a timeline on it if possible.
That's pretty nice.
Okay. Let's, end of the month.
By 31 January.
Okay.
The next council meeting would be February 3rd.
Okay,
I mean, after the 21st.
Yeah.
By the end of
great.
When is the next council?
February 3rd would be after the end of the month. Because the next one's Tuesday, the 21st, in 2 weeks.
Okay,
And then February 3rd would be the next council after that.
how about we set that for the deadline? The February 3rd meeting
Sure.
to have a conclusion?
Yeah.
Okay, good, thank you.
Sounds good. Great. Thanks, everyone. Good discussion. I mean, tad unorthodox, but I think we got everybody's input in and we're ready to move forward with this worthwhile project. Well, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda now under presentations. And this is the Brownfield grant work by Lindsay McClure from McKed. And I'll invite Lindsay up to make a presentation. Thank you, Lindsay.
Excuse me, hello, thank you so much for having me here this evening. As Mayor Jones said, my name is Lindsay McClure. I'm a project manager with the Mid-Columbia Economic Development District. We use the acronym MCED, saves a few syllables. And I'm here this evening to tell you about a grant program that MCED is administering throughout our 5-county, 5-state region. So my goal is by the end of this short presentation for you to understand the grant program that we're offering. And my hope is that you can help get the word out among this community because it's a resource that we want to make sure that everyone in our region is aware of. So I do want to note that the properties that are eligible for this grant can be either publicly or privately owned, so that there are no limitations there. And there's information in your packet you can follow along. So I will start with some quick definitions to do some level setting, then talk a little bit about the grant that we received and the funding, and then talk about our site selection process, the priorities of our coalition, and then talk about ways to get involved. So this work is funded by the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, so we'll look to them for a definition of brownfields. Is this a term that people are familiar with? Okay. It's more exciting than it sounds. So a brownfield is a property, the expansion, redevelopment, or reuse of which may be complicated by the presence or potential presence of a hazardous substance, pollutant, or contaminant. So the key thing I want to highlight here is it could be the presence or it could be just that potential presence. So even any unknowns that are acting as an impediment to the development or the most productive use of a property could be reason enough for us to be able to fund it through this program. So why do we want to address brownfields? Key reasons are to improve public health and to address environmental concerns, to expand the land that's available for development. It has a positive impact on neighboring properties and improves the tax base. So now to talk briefly about the grant that we received, MCED applied on behalf of a coalition that includes Columbia Cascade Housing Corporation, Wasco County, Klickitat County, and Sherman County for a coalition grant through the U.S. EPA Brownfields programs, and we received an assessment coalition grant. So I'll talk about this in two pieces. The assessment piece. So I listed out those coalition partners. We had a limit on how many partners we could include, so all of the counties in McHead's region, so that would be Klickitat County and Klickitat County and Skamania County on the Washington side, and then Sherman, Wasco, and Hood River on the Oregon side. So any property within this five county region is eligible. And we have $1 million to spend by September of 2027. The other key piece with our coalition is that we formed an advisory committee with representatives from all 5 counties and our nonprofit partner, and decisions about which properties to fund are made by our advisory committee. So we have representatives from around the region. So that's talking about the coalition piece. The other thing that I mentioned is that it's an assessment grant. So to define something by what it's not a cleanup grant. So we don't have money to actually clean up properties that are contaminated. The funds are meant to find out more about whether or not a property has contamination. And then we can also do cleanup and reuse planning. So this can be on an individual site, or we can do some more regional planning. So if there are some efforts that might benefit from some analysis and planning, we could talk about doing some regional or assessment work. So the bread and butter would be like a phase 1 or a phase 2 environmental assessment for buildings, a regulated building material survey, and site cleanup or reuse planning. That's not an exhaustive list though. If there are any assessment or planning activities that could help move a property from an underutilized state to a more productive state, there's a chance that we could fund that through this grant. So I've seen like HUD environmental reviews or just communication with DEQ on sites that are listed in their database. So there's a lot of flexibility with how the funds can be spent. So next I'm going to talk about the process for participation. Our goal is for this to be as streamlined as possible for property owners. So McHead has a webpage for this program. On that webpage, there's a link to our nomination form that can be filled out by the property owner or someone else with a connection to the property. And we made it as simple as possible. It's a 2-page form. It should take less than 10 minutes. The fields are optional, so if there's information you don't have, you can skip over it. We'll get that form. If we have questions, jump on a call to find out more, and then we take that information and bring it before our advisory committee that I mentioned. The advisory committee then reviews and decides if it's a project that we're in favor of. If the advisory committee approves the project, then we need to receive approval from EPA, and once all of that happens, then the work can take place. McHead has already done procurement, and we have hired Stantec as our environmental consulting firm. So the property owners don't need to do any procurement, and it's not reimbursement. So no one needs to pay money and then get reimbursed. McHead handles all the finances. So property owners sign, once the approval goes through, then we need to sign an access agreement. The work will take place, and then they receive the reports that are produced. So I mentioned coalition priorities, so I'm just going to touch briefly on that. The priorities that we came up with for this grant are primarily to promote the development of new housing with a focus on attainable housing and multifamily rentals, and to resolve environmental barriers on employment and industrial land. We want to make our region a place where people can afford to live and work. And then we included a couple other priorities, including alignment with McHead's Columbia Gorge Economic Development Strategy, our CEDS, and then also aligning with local community goals and priorities, because you know your community better than we do. So if there's something that you have identified as a priority or a goal, even if it's not listed here, if it's something that you have identified as a top priority, we want to be able to fund projects that help you achieve those goals. So the benefits of participation, this work happens at no cost to the property owner. It can help facilitate the financing of redevelopment or construction, or it can facilitate a property purchase. Often sites will sit or properties will sit in a certain state for a very long time, and then when that property changes hands or when development is finally ready, that's when this sort of due diligence starts to happen. And it can help someone who's looking to acquire a property avoid costly environmental cleanup liability. So the last, I just included a slide with a case study. Wasco County received money through the same program for an assessment coalition grant. And they just closed out their grant, so they've been doing this work longer than we have, so they have better stories to tell. So I'm gonna borrow a story from them. They funded work at the Last Stop Saloon in downtown The Dalles. The grant funded phase 1 environmental site assessment, a regulated building material survey, and development of a conceptual floor plan. So this is helping the property owners turn the upper floors into multifamily housing, and this is in alignment of the city of The Dalles' goal to have mixed use development in their downtown core. And that's all the information I have. Thanks for listening to me rattle on. I'm happy to take questions.
Thank you.
Thank you, Lindsay. Anybody have any questions?
Just curiosity, would it help if, several, for example, I think we kind of talked about in the past, the hospital and maybe the city can go together? Would you get more points by that for getting the grant?
So McKenna has the money and now we want to spend it. If it's a property that, if there's work that you want to see happen, we want to get to yes. So let us know and let's.
No, okay, I just fill that out, yeah. Okay, well, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Anybody else have any questions? Well, thank you, Lindsay.
Yeah, thank
Appreciate
you.
your presentation. That was great.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to the next item, department reports, and we'll start with the Chief of Police, Mike Smith.
Thank you, Mayor. We've had a pretty exciting year. We ended the year with 3,200, I believe, 87 calls for service. We got to a quick start this year. We've already up to close to 40 calls in the last 6 days, so we've been pretty busy out of the gates. New Year's went pretty good. The fireworks were great. We didn't have any issues with that. So just looking forward to another year. Looking forward to getting our car finalized, the order of that, and so we're just kind of looking forward to hopefully next council meeting, I'll have a whole layout of all the statistics of last year for you, so.
Great, thank you, Chief. Chief of the Fire Department, Noah Hall.
Thanks, Mayor. So the fire department had 198 calls for service last year. 91 of them being medical related and 107 being fire related. I don't have any more numbers for you. I'll get some next council.
Thank you, Noah. City Administrator, Sandy Wells.
We have a meeting this Thursday with KDH with our Public Works Director, discuss some of their projects that they're having. And then next month we'll have, Dave and I have a meeting that we got presented to talk about maybe like a sidewalk grant. Some company, I think it's RCO. But they do several other grants, and so we're gonna attend that meeting and start, I think they have monthly meetings or.
Yeah.
And so we're gonna start attending those to maybe give the city some other benefits that we might have through them, and so.
Great.
That's all I got.
Well, thank you, Sandy. Well, let's move on to the next item under council business, the professional service contract for a prosecuting attorney. Lance Fitzgerald is our city prosecuting attorney. This agreement shall take effect on the first day of January through December 31st with a compensation rate raise of $7,350 per month. The increase in the monthly cost is due to several factors, including a jump in the cost for nearly every aspect of the legal profession and doing business in general. The fiscal impact is a $350 raise from last year's contract.
A month,
Yes.
right?
$350 a month.
Fiscal
Yeah.
year.
Yeah, it should be a month.
Well, Mayor, I so moved that we approve the new contract.
I'll second.
And there's a motion and a second to approve the new professional services contract with Lance Fitzgerald in the amount of $7,350 per month. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. Move on to the next item on the agenda under council business. And that's the lodging tax application funding recommendations. So the events committee has reviewed the submitted applications, which are submitted in the packet. And these are the recommendations put forward by the events committee. And the events committee is here. If there's any questions or comments on the recommendations.
I just have a question for the notes on the dependent on if we could find out about the speakers. Has that been done yet?
Yes, we had a discussion with the public works director and city administrator, and we can have some more discussions about it, but as presented, that's not in the realm of a public works department dealing with wiring, running wires. It would be some conflict on the job descriptions and Sandy, maybe you can elaborate on that.
Yeah, they don't do anything with wires
Yeah.
that's not part of their.
So we would have to hire a certified electrician.
No,
Oh,
the proposal from the Christmas committee had a cost of both. If the city were to do that wiring or the company that provided, I could invite up, if anybody from the Christmas committee would like to speak to that, I would welcome you at this time. That's all right.
Yes.
Thank you, Lenny.
We have a technician that this is what he does. And the speaker wire, he just wanted it hung. You don't have to have any electrician do that because it is speaker wire. It's not, no. And so they want just, he wants just the wire hung, with loops not cut at all. And then also put the speakers up on the poles. And so it's just, it matter of just physically needing that to happen. And he would be directing the person. So it wouldn't come from us, it would come from the professional.
Public Works that works for the city can't do that for a private entity. Anyway, they can't do work for an outside non-city place. I mean, they work for the city itself,
Okay,
the city government, and so otherwise it's a gift to public funds for their wage to be done through something else, so Public Works can't do that
how
work.
can we figure this out?
They can't do it.
Okay, but if it's the city,
If the city owned it, the city
Yeah.
was doing something,
yeah,
that would be something different, but it's not owned by the city. So there's things that they can do and they can't do,
This-
and that is something they cannot do.
if the city bought the wire.
No, because it's not for the city buildings,
Okay,
so they're very specific in they have a union contract. So we can't, it's not jobs that they can do.
okay, so then that means it would be the 12.5 that would need to be raised for that project then, because of the equipment and tape.
I believe so, unless we could have more conversations on, maybe another entity in the city that could take that on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Another non-governmental
Somewhere,
agency, yeah.
yeah. If somebody's got a truck, a lift truck,
Yeah,
it's only
yeah.
11.5 feet. That's all we have to go up the poles. So, and there's already the equipment's up there. It's just that it's no longer working.
Yeah,
It has to be replaced. So
Good chance you find somebody.
I pray so. Yeah, because it's, you know, it's gonna benefit so many
Oh, yeah.
different, you know, functions in the city.
Have you tried contacting the PP?
You know, we haven't really, Pat, maybe you could speak to that.
So, powerful.
Like,
I can say that when we put up the candy canes this year, the, and I don't know his correct title, the one in charge of the warehouse down there. He came up to me and looked at me and said, will you please not add anything more? Put so much out there that we're to our limit of what we can do, dedicating time and things to you.
Mhm.
So if we want to do anything more, we have to look somewhere else's, his suggestion. So, and of course, it's hard to have the funding when we're just a group of people that work volunteer. We're volunteers,
Yeah.
and so, but we can look and let's see what we can find.
I bet Alan was a good volunteer.
yeah. Oh, some more talk about it. Okay. Well, anyways, any other discussion or is there a motion?
I move to approve the funding of the lodging tax applications as presented with the notes as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the funding of the lodging tax applications as presented. Any discussion or comments? Yes, Steve.
I just find it a little bit negligent that, and especially after Mr. Robertson's, presentation here, that, the committee was only able to squeeze $4,000 towards their program. I mean, they get back more than that. And so I assume at this point, the deed is done, and the money is pretty much spent or allocated.
So would you like some explanation on that? Because I'd be more than happy to share, and we have 3 of our event coordinator people that are here right now, so we can explain why we came to that.
Gave a pretty good appeal to himself right there.
He did.
And it draws more people than all of those put together.
Yes, it does, totally. They also receive a lot more profit than any of the others. Yes, they give it back to the community, which is awesome. And we still did give 3 years ago, Ellie, or was it 4 years or 2 years ago when 3 years ago, when they first came back to ask for money, they said they only needed it for startup again because it is so profitable for them. So even last year, when we approved all of this as a council, there was discussion on, well, why are we still continuing to give money? Because they only asked for it for that year prior to start back up. It is very profitable. Yes, does it bring tons of money in here? Absolutely. And it's so appreciated and we absolutely love it. With the community days funding that we put for this, part of that is to go towards what they have done to, what's the group? The who? Yes, thank you, the
Yeah.
Cossacks and things like that. So they will be getting more for different areas, but that is why we came up with what we came up with.
Anybody else have a
Doesn't
motion?
mean that it's just, that's what the committee came up with.
I would kind of like to follow up.
Yeah, Sally.
That, like, the tourism funds can't be used for prizes.
Right.
And I get that, you know, they put a lot of money out for their different places and stuff like that. Last year, the $10,000, was it 10,000 that we awarded them last year?
No,
5.
5.
Was it?
Mhm.
Oh,
It
I
was
thought
half of what they had at, hold on, it's
I
on
thought
here, I
last
think.
year we gave them.
7,000.
Seven.
To cover the fireworks.
Yeah, that's right.
So, I mean,
And actually, the entire funding that we gave them last year went towards the fireworks.
All of it was fireworks.
Every single bit of it. And this year, they're not having fireworks. So, I mean, we took in a lot of information. Yeah, we want to keep them. We love them. But when you add everything up, that's where it came out to.
Anybody else have any discussion on the matter? I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'll call for a vote then. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh,
Aye.
opposed.
Okay,
I retract my vote.
okay. Opposed?
Nay.
Abstain?
Abstain.
Okay, do we got that count? 1 no, 1 abstain. And 4 ayes. Okay. Motion passes. Okay, thanks. Next item up on the agenda under resolutions is resolution number 742, authorizing investment pool account. And maybe I'll hand this off to City Administrator Sandy Wells to explain.
So we have an LGIP, it's local government investment pool money, kind of like a savings account that we put money into. And Pat and myself were the 2 signers on that. So we just need to remove Pat and add Shelley as the other signer. That's really all that resolution is doing.
I move to adopt resolution number 742, amending resolution number 723, authorizing investments of the city of Goldendale monies in the local government investment pool.
Second.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 742. Any discussion or questions? Yes, Steve.
Can you explain a little bit about what this investment pool is doing, what it's about?
It's just basically, it's like a savings account. We have invested money into it years ago and the money gains interest. I think it's like 4% or something. It's around like $3,200 a month that we get in interest.
Okay, this is what we talked about, what, a few days ago?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So there's a limit or a minimum that you can take out. I'm sure there's a maximum as well. Since I've been here that I know we've never withdrawn money, but I do know other cities do if they, need something or have something. But yes, we have that investment pool money that we put in there.
Nice rainy day fund, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
Not redundant on me.
Nope, not at all.
Familiar, but I wasn't sure.
Not at all. Nope, we get a monthly statement and I think when I started, 5-6 years ago, we were getting around $700 a month in interest. Now it's up to about $3,200 in interest that we get every single month. So it's a variable interest rate depending on how the things are doing.
Yeah, it's good.
Yep.
Good mechanism.
Any other question or comments regarding resolution number 742?
I move to adopt resolution.
Well, I got a motion and a second
Oh,
already. We'll call for a vote.
oh, that's right. Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Great. Passes unanimously. Well, great. Thanks. Next, we'll move on to report of officers. And we'll start over on this end, Councilmember Mylan Walling.
Well, thank you, Mayor. No, I guess I don't have really much to, I think we're continuing making a lot of improvements of City of Goldendale and this year, I think it's gonna be very interesting because we've got potentially some big project that's gonna be happening in this area. And I really think it's gonna benefit the City of Goldendale. We got a lot of work and support for this, but it's gonna be coming through very, very well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mylan. Danielle.
I just want to again say thanks for all of the community members to come out and show your support. This is how it should be every council meeting, in my opinion. I think it's great. So thank you for everything that you're doing.
Andy.
All I gotta say is, I know I wear a lot of different hats in the community, and I want to thank the council for approving the tourism funds. I'm part of the Goldendale Pride Alliance, and we appreciate the money, and it's gonna help us put on our event. So,
Again.
thank you.
Ellie.
I've got nothing there, thank you.
Fionn.
I don't have anything right now. Thank you, though.
Thank you, Fionn. Steve,
First of all, I'd like to address this.
What is it? I can't see what it is.
That was something that Danielle requested, all of our motions and then where we're at with all of them from.
Are we gonna follow up on this?
I think that that's what those meetings are supposed to be for, that are not the city council meetings, but the administrative meetings that we have canceled the last couple.
I'll let it go at that then, because there's, Sandy has been gracious enough to do a follow-up on everyone, to clarify one way or another, and so
Okay. Much appreciated too.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
That. I would like to schedule a public works meeting, other than the parks meeting,
okay,
to address weed control for fire mitigation. I know we probably got code already, but I think it would be pertinent for us to, if Sandy would bring up what we've got on the books regarding that. Along our easements and private properties. And this isn't noxious weeds, this is all weeds that present a fire hazard during the summertime. And whether anybody realizes it or not, I'm sure a lot of people do. We've been in a drought condition now for 7 or 8 years. I know it's nothing but mud out there now, but we are in drought conditions. Our summers are long and dry, and they're not going to change. And this is an issue that I feel should be addressed. I've brought it up before, but anyway, I'd like to set up a public works meeting. Doug is on board now.
yeah,
And like I say, if Sandy would bring up
Maybe we can bring in Robert, who does code enforcement
Robert,
for weeds and tall grass. We
right?
can see if he's available maybe to attend and see what his plan is for the summer. I do know that they send out commercial weed letters. We've got several commercial or large lot properties in the city. Usually around March-ish, they start sending out, he sends out those letters to those large lot owners that says, you know, don't forget it is getting to be fire season. We do have tall grass and weeds. We do have a code, says how tall they can be to kind of get some of those trimmed down, especially before the 4th. So I do know that he starts on that, and then usually in June, around June, when it starts to get drier, then we start sending out those tall grass and weed letters. Once grass starts to grow and, you know, before it gets too dry to see that, but yeah, we can see if he can be available to attend that meeting as well. But we do have a code that talks about vegetation.
I knew we did. Enforcement, this is like a lot of our codes and ordinances. Enforcement seems to be the weak point. I mean, we send out letters until cows come home. And so far, it looks like most people totally disregard them. And we've got that issue about the easements, the right of ways. There seems to be, I know we've got the language that states who's responsible, but I feel we can have some more discussion regarding that.
absolutely.
To help mitigate that difference between the city and the property owner in regards to the easement areas. Because it's not getting done by anybody, it's what's happening. So anyway, if I could schedule that, a meeting for that here in the near future.
Yeah, we'll do that.
And I guess we're just kind of on hold regarding Broadway.
We're waiting to hear back from DOT.
Yeah,
So we did have the meeting with them. They were gonna put together a quote of their traffic study about, you know, the things that we brought up to him about line of sight issues, the parking issues and other things. He did ask for a couple other information. And then I haven't heard back from him yet as far as last I heard, they were still working on that quote. That was just before the holiday. So I don't know where they're timeline was from the holidays, so I was gonna give them another week or so, and then I'll reach back out and see where they're at with that.
And for the purpose of the rest of the council, all these meetings we've had, Public Works meeting, and then we've met with the state representatives and everything. It has boiled down to the city has not only the authority, but the obligation to instigate traffic control. We can address the parking issue. We don't need the state's concurrence or anything. That is our obligation. So, you know, I'll just let it set on the back burner until they respond again. But anyway, I just wanted the council to know that's where that lies.
Yeah.
Buck stops here.
Right. I'd like to make a comment back, Mayor, back to Steve's previous comment about cleaning up yards. Really, I think the potential really danger is the wild ride that we have here in the city. And I don't know, Noel, if you want to make a comment on that. They've been cleaning up a lot of the lots, but then there's some lots that are not. And you have that 3 or 4 feet high wild ride, you really got a potential fire danger.
So if you look at, along the Little Clickitat, the banks and all that stuff, all those properties down in there that are not, taken care of.
Right.
It's huge, potential to have something start in there and just run through town like nothing. And then also think about the access as well. How do you get down in there to put out a fire?
Good point.
Well, maybe Noah needs to be with that meeting.
Sure.
Maybe it's up to Noah.
Let me know.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll do.
Yeah, you're fire.
We'll send out an email to everybody and see when it's best.
Yeah.
We'll include you on that.
Anything else, Steve?
No,
Okay.
that will do.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you, everybody.
Thank you. Okay, well, I just want to remind the city council that our next meeting is on a Tuesday. Because of the Martin Luther King holiday. So just a reminder, the next meeting on January 21st is a Tuesday. Also, I'll be contacting soon the budget committee to set up a meeting with the budget committee concerning airport budgeting that we need to work on and talk about. So we'll look, I'm not going to set a meeting right now. We still need to get with Jen Forsberg with some numbers and then I'll be reaching out to the budget committee soon to set, I'll do that via email shortly when we get that together. And that's all I had for us today. Leon, do you have your hand raised?
Yeah, just a quick question about what Danielle said. We did drop it over the holidays, but I would like to pick those the workshop committee meetings up again as well. Can you let us know when a good time would be for that?
Sure.
Okay.
Great. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion for adjournment?
Yep, public comment.
Oh, public comment. Thank you, Andy. Anybody here for open public comment? Thank you, Andy. Yes. Please step forward.
Thank you. I just want to thank Steve for asking the question that I was going to ask about the update on Broadway. So thank you, Steve. We'll give you an honorary mention in the story.
Well, I didn't get that.
I didn't.
Sorry, Roger, you were kind of muffled there. What was your comment?
No, let me try again. Is this better?
Yes.
I just wanted to thank Steve for asking the question that I was going to ask in this time about Broadway. So thank you, Steve. We'll give you a write-up in the letter when we write the story.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Roger. Yes, Gilberto.
All right, well, I just want to say it's been an impressive meeting. Thank you all for all the work that you've been doing, and thank you to all the events that are being planned for 2025. That is great. I just wanted to add to your guys' discussion about fire danger. Thank you, Mylan, for mentioning that we do have a fire chief that handles fire. So it's not just public works, but that should be involved. We have 2 chiefs here that need to be included in that discussion because when I was in council, we dealt with this many, many times. It is by understanding that the ordinance for fire is still incomplete, so law enforcement does not issue citations, or they're very limited in issuing citations when they're outside the burn ban or violating permits. So if you're gonna address that, you need to address that with the police chief. If you're planning for fire, you should probably include your fire chief. That's what he's here for. Other than that, I like the work that you guys are doing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gilberto. Anybody else here or on the line for a public comment? Yes, Nancy. Oh.
Thank you, Nancy.
Was that your whole comment, Nancy? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Anybody else on the line or here for public comment?
Thank you.
Hearing none, we'll close public comment. Is there a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second for adjournment. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, great. Thank you, everyone.
Piece of the glory.